Sometimes when I start these, I'm kind of pulled between a meditation and a talk. Sometimes it's a bit of a mix of both. I've never really tried just doing a talk. I tried once with a camera. It was really hard, just talking to a machine without a question or anything.
But what came out was really cool.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I don't remember. Yeah.
Okay.
My teacher had a very, he was very, very particular and very special. But he was very emphatic on meditation and the extreme high importance to the practice. And that has a lot of value because it's actually really hard to I haven't started any recording. Let me see. Julian's poking me. There we go.
Recording in progress.
It's so tricky because if we don't meditate, it's very unlikely for anything to happen if we don't do any work. But at the same time, doing the work doesn't guarantee anything. It's quite mysterious. And I always highlight there's kind of two aspects of what happens, the work we do or the work that I try to do. One has to do with growing, with developing, with, in a sense, feeling better at the psychological, emotional level, but feeling better through kind of a right way versus a wrong way. Because there's a way to feel better through avoidance and denial, and you kind of feel better in a sense. You manage, but then it always comes back. But there's a way to do work that you progressively feel better. Life gets better. Things get better. But it doesn't go that far or that deep compared to the work that I call, and that's not me actually, but it's what can be called waking up. But the distinction between growing up and waking up, I find myself repeating it a lot because I think it's very important, and it might be because of my process and my confusion around it. And I think it's impossible to not confuse, because waking up can't be understood until it happens. And so we will always kind of the mind's always going to turn it into some process. Some process of learning or time and like everything we know. Maybe that's the end of the talk, but
What are you trying to say?
I don't know.
Grow up.
No, in fact, it's the opposite. Like,
Stop growing up.
No, stop growing up. It's okay. I guess I'm trying to clarify or talk about that because I think it's that kind of thing that begs for kind of repeating. And I often highlight the growing up a lot because, especially in circles of waking up, the growing up goes out the window. Um, in circles and in groups where it's very focused on waking up, which is great, and it's quite rare, where it's almost exclusively about waking up, then the growing up is kind of a no-no. It's like, that's the wrong thing to do. The waking up is the only thing that matters, and the other stuff will get dealt by itself, and it doesn't. Um, and I know this from like teachers themselves realizing that. Um, but then you have the opposite, spiritual groups, and these are more common, especially historically. Now there's a lot of kind of a virality around the waking up, but historically a lot of the work has been through people who woke up, religions got built around them, and then it's all about either the religion or the process of growing up. All religions have something around how to be better in their own way, how to kind of rules and directions on how to live and how to live better, and some are worse and some are better of those rules. But it becomes a big thing around like how to be and how to grow, and then the waking up aspect kind of disappears, except for some small sects within those religions. And then often intentionally, the waking up was kept from students until they were ready. The more direct pointing, which now is becoming very popular. And so Catherine just asked me, what am I trying to say? The thing that's motivating this has to do with, at the kind of core of it, the thing I care about the most is waking up, because it's rare and it can be so missed. It's so tricky. It's so simple that it can be overlooked. But then I will say at another time, the thing I care about the most is the growing up. When things start to look like that's going out the window. And the waking up, I haven't found a better expression or pointer to it than one of Lisa Kearns. And I don't know that she's intentionally doing this, but she says very often, this is it. And to me, that's quite perfect, because you can't say more. Anything more than that is too much. Even, I mean, that's already saying too much. Saying something is saying too much. But if you're going to say something, this is it. And by that, you can then say it's the answer to all questions, or the answer to all wants. Yeah, my point is, if you explain, so if I say more, and this is, I'm appropriating what Lisa says, so then I'll speak whatever I say, it's me, it has nothing to do with her. If you say more, so if I answer your question, then it's going to it's going to be less perfect or less direct or less clear in a sense. But yes, I was playing around now with like how to interpret the this is it. What is the this and what is the it? But you could say whatever is happening is it, is what you're looking for. And that's what can be very, it's almost impossible to not overlook, because it often doesn't feel like this is it. It doesn't look like this is it. And that's the whole thing. That's the whole kind of problem, is that it looks like something else must be it because this sucks, or this isn't good enough, or this, something's missing, this isn't okay, etc., etc., etc. And so, and we can't be convinced of this by hearing somebody else. We can become encouraged to check more deeply. We can become inspired to see, well, why doesn't it seem like this is it? What's going on? And then things can get clarified. You have a smile. And also you could see that if you have a bit of like an analytical process, which works for some people, for some others it doesn't. It also happens that for people who think that's not for me, it might be the right thing for them. So it's hard to self-diagnose kind of what's my path, what's my style, my way. Meaning, like, if I'm working in this and I could find teachers who are very kind of rational, I might not like it and think that's not the right thing for me. That might be a misjudgment. And so it's always good to explore all different things, even if it seems like that's not it doesn't feel right at first. It might just be a resistance. But that said, that parentheses, if you look at the this is it with a kind of more analytical perspective, then you could see, well, lots of things could be happening. Lots of things could be the this. And some are good and some are bad. So how could it be that this is it? Because sometimes things are good, sometimes things are bad, and it's very easy to think, well, there's a lot of bad things, so it can't be it. But what it points to is that it has nothing to do with what's happening. And so it's prior to what's happening. It includes what's happening. It includes, because it is this is it. It includes what's happening. But it's prior to what's happening. And prior is just a word. It's not really prior. It's impossible to. I remember hearing my teacher say, I think he said, I forget what word he used, but it was kind of like, in Spanish, kind of like prior, and I never understood what he was talking about, but it's just a word that points to something that's not the actual experience. Not the content of the experience. The content meaning there's now a laptop in front of me and I'm speaking, and et cetera, et cetera. But so whatever is happening is included in the this is it, but that has nothing to do with it at the same time. And I also love how she says it in that way, because it also kind of bypasses the whole thing we can get hung up on like self-inquiry and who am I? And then it becomes this kind of like, who am I? Where am I? And which is a really great process, a really great exploration, but she's just kind of skips that whole thing. It's like, this is it. It just leaves nothing to hold on to. So I could sit here for 100 years and answer every question that comes at me with, this is it. And it would be the most perfect teaching. I think I'm going to do that. You like that?
I go to Hawaii. Surfing. I feel like you're like, there are books on the bookshelf. This is a cup of coffee. But then you seem so serious.
I might, yeah.
I'm just joking, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to make you come out of your role.
Sounds good. Do you want to meditate?
Sure.
Okay.
You just have a quick question.
It'll be fun.
I got a disturbing message from Meta.
Oh, really? Okay, we're going to meditate now. A little shorter today, since I spoke about the bookshelf. slowly. Your time, come back to the group.